Greetings, B-movie aficionados.
All right, hello, welcome to Couple of Flicks. I'm Tristan.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Zach.
So, before we get started, have either of you seen anything recently that you might want to mention?
I watched a lot, actually. But I guess I'll mention I saw Jojo Rabbit finally.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Yeah. Rewatched Memories of Murder.
Ooh.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that movie. Cool. All right. And yeah, do it out of, I mean, how well did Memories of Murder hold up for you?
Pretty good.
Cool.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. And did you like
Right.
Jojo Rabbit?
Yeah. It was pretty good.
All right. What about you? Did you watch anything recently?
Not movie, really.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned it last time on the pod, but I've been watching the Stephen King's The Outsider.
Yeah.
Did I mention that last time?
I think so. You might have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got all caught up with that. Watched the newest episode like last night. It's pretty good.
Nice.
And other than that, no, I've been spending so much time in that playing that game Sekiro.
Oh yeah.
No, I've been spending my entire days just beating my head against the wall on that.
How's that one? I haven't played that one yet.
It's good. I like it a lot because it's like a ninja game. You're a ninja in it, and it's super hard. And I like the difficulty. Makes it feel accomplished when you beat just like a mini boss. It's really unique and fun though. Good sword play and stuff with it. It's just fun. It's from like the Dark Souls people.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I like the Dark Souls games.
yeah, they made that one, and it's nice.
Yeah. I love really hard games. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Unless I break a controller over it.
I've almost chucked my controller through my TV for that game.
Yeah. The only game I've broken a controller over was Stuntman on PlayStation 2.
Fuck that game.
Yeah. The smokestacks in the second level, I spent like 2 hours trying to get past that part and I couldn't do it, and I broke my controller, so I was so mad.
Yeah.
Those games are so frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a boss that I spent at least like 4 straight hours trying to beat. Just kept going and going and going, and I just so hard.
Yeah. The two hardest video games I've ever played in my life were on Nintendo, and they were Silver Surfer and Dragon's Lair, and they were so hard that I don't even want to talk about them. But just don't play them. Like they're impossible. I swear.
Yeah.
I haven't really watched much recently, but I did watch Color Out of Space.
Oh, I saw that one too.
Oh yeah, what did you think of it?
It was decent.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to watch it again. I think because I think the hype kind of hurt it a lot for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's slow, but the ending's it's worth it.
Yeah, I like the way it ended. I like the way it all wrapped up. I liked what it built up to, but like for me, it just kind of, I don't know. It just felt kind of empty. Like there wasn't really a whole lot to it for a long period of time, and then eventually it kind of leads somewhere, but it takes so long to get there, and I don't know. And visually, I just kind of got sick of the color scheme. I don't know. I think I honestly just wasn't really in the mood for it when I watched it. So I should probably give it another shot at some point.
Yeah.
Cool. But anyway, so let's go ahead and get the ball rolling. So the movie that I chose was and we all chose 90s movies, and the one I chose was the only horror movie out of the three, and that was Brainscan. And I guess the plot, to describe it, it's it kind of reminds me of almost like somebody's idea of like a Christian propaganda picture almost. but
was it a horror?
I mean, sort of, I guess. It didn't really feel like a horror movie. It kind of felt like more of a cautionary tale about this kid who he's an introvert, and which the reason he's an introvert, actually, they kind of briefly summarize at the beginning of the film, is because he was in a car accident and he's bedridden, which, I mean, I think, and also there was like some trauma from that, like his mom died, and so
This is John Connor.
yeah, John Connor, yeah, Edward Furlong, and so he pretty much spends all of his time in his room playing video games, and
Yeah, I didn't get that. I didn't know why he did. I just thought he was a nerd.
yeah,
I didn't know he had some trauma.
yeah. Well, it briefly sort of implies it at the beginning. It doesn't really show anything, but it's like there's echoing, and then at one point, like, he's walking home and he sees like blood on the sidewalk, and the police are like carrying a body away, and like the music, it's sort of implying that he's having like a flashback or something. But anyway, so they don't really go over it very much. They kind of just quickly, and his dad is pretty much absent. I guess he's away on business or something. So this kid's home alone for a period of time, and and one of his buddies directs him to check out the issue of Fangoria that he has, that I guess has an advertisement for a virtual reality game called Brainscan. So he proceeds to order it, and he gets it in the mail, and he plays it, and it's supposed to be kind of like this crazy sort of violent, morbid, intense horror game, and so he plays it, and it's, and it seems all too real, and then he slowly realizes, well, actually he doesn't slowly realize, he very quickly realizes that that what he does in the video game is having like real life repercussions. And so like the first time he plays it, he kills some guy, and then when he gets out of the game, like when he's done playing, he like goes out and he discovers that like there's police tape around the neighbor's yard, and it's like, oh crap, that's the guy I killed in the video game. Damn, and so so that's kind of where what the, I guess, plot is, and he has to continue playing the game in order to beat the game and put an end to this horrible nightmare, I guess, is the way to summarize it. It's kind of a silly movie. The main reason I chose it is because I have a Blu-ray that came with Mind Warp and Brainscan, so I just decided to go with Brainscan for this choice, just to kind of make my life easier, because they were both 90s B movies.
I can see why they were on the same disc.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very similar movies.
I can too. I definitely agree. They are very similar. They both are about virtual reality to a certain degree. More so this one, because Mind Warp kind of uses the virtual reality idea sort of as an excuse to retell like a Wizard of Oz version of the Mad Max, I guess. I don't even really quite know how to explain it, but this film, I felt, did a better job covering similar territory. Although there are some things I didn't really like about it, but overall I found this one to be more entertaining than Mind Warp, personally. Yeah. So do either of you want to share your thoughts on it?
I thought this was very 90s for sure. Like,
Yes,
his
definitely.
bedroom, I wrote down, like, he had just that crazy ass 90s bedroom with all this high tech shit that's in the attic that he had to climb up to, and he had all these cool gadgets and gizmos, as like, those 90s kids do. Like, I mean, Ferris Bueller was in the 80s, but very Ferris Bueller-y room.
Yeah.
That kind of crazy shit. And
It's a very, very, very large bedroom.
Yeah.
It's like an attic space.
Yeah, and he was riding a goddamn scooter too, like a goddamn 90s kid.
Yeah, old school, early 90s.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and I also thought it was fucking weird that he was perving on that girl.
Oh yeah, well,
and then she was perving back on him.
Yeah,
like,
they're two perverts.
Fuck?
They're just two disgusting perverts who are staring at each other. I mean, the film sort of is. The film is kind of trying to say that what this main kid is doing, hanging out in his bedroom all the time playing video games, isn't really the healthy thing to do. But honestly, like, he seems kind of like a socially malnourished kid to me. He doesn't seem to really get along very well with other people. His interests are kind of singular. He seems primarily interested in horror and splatter movies and video games. And so, like, the film kind of shows this party going on outside, and he's away from it, and it's trying to say, oh, he should be there. But honestly, I don't really think he would handle himself very well at a party like that if he's not used to being at them. I think there's nothing wrong with being an introvert, in my opinion. And I think that this is somebody who's probably better suited to be an introvert. I can't picture him getting along with a large group of people, unless they were all into horror, like what they show at the beginning of the movie, where he's watching. What was that movie that the title?
Death.
Yeah, part 2. Yeah, death, part 2. Like, that was probably his most social moment in the whole movie, is being in that room. And he does have a friend, like the kid who calls him up and says, oh, check out this new Brainscan video game, it'll blow your mind, or whatever. But that's about it. He doesn't seem to have anybody else to really. He kind of gets along with with a dog, shows up a couple times. Which
the one that stole the foot.
Yeah, which that was pretty fun. I like the stuff with the dog. That was a really, really cute dog, and I'm so happy that nothing bad happened to it.
Right.
Finally. So Zach, you'd said you'd seen this one before, right?
Yeah. I barely remembered anything about it, though. So it was like watching it for the first time again, basically.
Nice. All right.
Remembered a few things here and there, but.
Right. Well, overall, what were your thoughts on it?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I didn't take too many notes because I was like just too involved in it, like trying to remember, like, oh, I remember this.
Yeah. The soundtrack was pretty cool. You had Butthole Surfers. One of the songs, it sounded like it might have been like a Lead Belly song or something. So I dug the soundtrack. Should we talk about the ending, or? Well, I guess we should probably talk about the journey to the ending.
Yeah.
So, of course, he has to keep playing, and the more he plays,
that troll dude, that whatever, the demon troll.
Oh yeah,
motherfucker.
Yeah. So there's this goblin-looking dude who shows up, and I guess he's supposed to be like the mascot of the game or something, or like some kind of like Freddy Krueger type. Like, I don't know, some dude, and he's not. I mean, he doesn't really do much throughout most of the film. Until near the end. He kind of just hangs around to be annoying. Although, one thing that this movie, not only did this movie kind of remind me of Brainscan, Brainscan or Mind Warp, but it also kind of reminded me of another movie that we talked about a little bit, The Vagrant, because like there were a couple parts in the movie where it was trying to sort of imply that that this trickster character, the Goblin, is him. And it doesn't really dwell on it in the same way that The Vagrant did, but it does kind of it does sort of question that idea sort of at a couple points, although I can't really remember exactly how it did it. But that was that could have been interesting, I guess, if they maybe tried to go in that direction, but I don't know. Instead, they just decide to scale back. So he ends up killing his friend eventually after they have a falling out.
On disc 2, because they had to go through multiple discs to win.
Yeah,
or something.
that was another thing I forgot. So the discs, he doesn't get all the discs one at a time like you would ordinarily with a standard like CD-ROM PC game. Instead, they get mailed to him individually, which in my opinion would suck in real life if you were playing a PC game and you could only play one disc at a time, and then when you finish the first disc, you could only play the second disc like after you play the first disc, and it had to be mailed to you. Like that would suck. I mean, that would make the game what was that one PC game? SWAT, I think it was called. That would make that game a living nightmare because I was constantly having to switch discs playing that one. But yeah, so the discs get mailed to him, so it's like level 2, and on level 2, after he has this falling out with his buddy, he ends up murdering him in the video game. But you don't see it.
Yeah.
Which.
But the police are suspecting him somehow.
Yeah. It's because he called them. And which he's on the phone. He's like, and he does the Edward Furlong screech. He's like, answer me! And the police officer, FBI, coroner, whatever, Frank Langella. That's the actor's name. I don't know what the character's name is. He's the one who picks up the phone. Is like, who is this? And then he hangs up. And I don't know how he was able to ascertain that was Edward Furlong by the screech, but somehow he does. And then somehow he's also able to get DNA samples from ashes in fireplace as well. So, I mean, that eventually happens because he decides to go inside of the kid's house when he's not home, which is very illegal, and that's a huge breach of people's rights if you're an officer and you're going into somebody's house without a search warrant. But this guy doesn't play by the rules. So he gets some ashes that Edward Furlong had burnt because he was trying to get rid of the evidence from the murders. And then he's the third level. He doesn't end up having to kill anybody. So the first level, he kills some random neighbor. The second level, he kills his buddy. The third level, he doesn't have to really actually kill anybody, but unfortunately, 2 people end up getting killed.
Oopsies.
And in the third level, he's supposed to be covering up evidence, which wouldn't be so hard, except he has a limp, so that's kind of that ends up affecting his ability to flee. And while he's going to cover up the evidence, there's a big search party looking for this killer, who he is. And the first thing Frank Langella says to these people is to not bring any weapons. But of course, one person ends up getting shot. Mistakenly, I suppose. I guess they thought that he was the killer. And then another character ends up getting crushed by some construction equipment, which is funny.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, and it was the principal too, because I guess the principal's part of the search party. And let's see what else happens. And then the lady, the woman from next door, or the girl, whoever she was, the girl from next door,
the one he's creeping on.
Yeah, the creepy girl he's creeping on, and she's creeping on her. She's taking pictures of him. She shows up at his house after his friend had died and had stolen. I like his words appear in the school newspaper or something. So he's pissed off about her. He's pissed off about that. And so then the fourth level, it's inevitable. He ends up having to, sadly, take her life. But he goes over there, and then he ends up not doing it, and he gets into this and that's when the Goblin character finally becomes important. He ends up having a face-off with the guy, and kind of gets absorbed by him at one point. But then things end up working out. He defeats the guy, and then getting to the ending. This film had a very similar ending to Mind Warp.
I hated it. It's so fucking stupid.
And again, I could
Pissed
see
me
it
off.
coming.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh no.
turns out it was all a game. Although he refers to it as a dream, but whatever. And he gets out of the game, and he's happy that he's out of the game. He's traumatized by it, I guess. And then his buddy shows up, and it's like, oh, you're alive. Nobody died after all. And so then he decides to go to that cool kids party next door and see what that's all about. Just hang with the cool kids, and maybe try to win some hearts. Specifically the neighbor girl who, one would think, after escaping the video game world, it would turn out that she wasn't, actually as creepy as he is, but. No, she actually is. It turned out both in the video game world and in real life, she took pictures of him without his consent. But he ends up being into it, I guess, and they are okay with each other, and it seems like there's a spark. And then at the end, Edward Furlong very generously decides to provide his principal with a copy of Brainscan to play, and yeah.
There you go.
Good old fashioned teenage prank. I found it charming. I didn't really like the Goblin all that much. I thought he was kind of stupid, but otherwise it was enjoyable, and it was kind of fun to imagine like some parents or some person who is afraid of video games, because there's a lot of people in this world, it turns out, who are afraid of video games. I like thinking about them watching this movie and, maybe getting a kick out of it, because it does kind of underline the sort of kind of the ridiculousness of that to a certain degree.
Yeah, that was around. Wasn't that around the time where like Mortal Kombat was a big deal?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, this movie doesn't take itself too seriously, and it came out in the early 90s, which, like you said, it was around the time that like Mortal Kombat was sort of a big controversial thing. And then also actually to a certain degree I could relate to this movie, because I remember when I was younger, aside from Mortal Kombat, there was this game Night Trap, which was on Sega CD. Which was also really controversial, and I kind of get the impression that both Mortal Kombat and Night Trap were pretty much the two games that sort of were what kind of got the ball rolling on the ESRB rating system. But when Night Trap came out, it was controversial because it used like real footage of like actual actors, almost act as if they're in like a horror movie, and so that was kind of controversial because it wasn't digitized graphics, it was real people. And then in addition to that, it was like, oh, and then this also happens to be a really violent game as well. So it was really controversial at the time. It was all over the news. People were claiming that it was a game in which like the goal was to trap and torture girls, which, so when I was younger, my dad bought the game, and I was actually really excited to play it because I was like, oh my god, this game is going to be really messed up, and I was actually interested to see how crazy it was going to be. It turns out it's actually a pretty harmless game. It's actually not that bad at all. The violence in it is pretty, it's like tame even by like PG-13 like 80s movies standards. The acting is really bad. It's a pretty terrible game in a lot of ways, but when I was like little, I kind of just let my imagination get the best of me, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. There's vampires walking around and all that shit, But when you play it now, it's actually like really hilarious how stupid it is.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what this movie reminded me of, actually. It kind of had that sort of quality to it, like cheesy, ridiculous, silly. It didn't take itself too seriously. It was very campy, and I dug it, So yeah, Brainscan, personally, it was my cup of tea, but I don't know. You guys have any more thoughts?
Not really. I really enjoyed this one, other than the goofy fucking goblin guy, but like, I don't know if it would have been better if he wasn't weird looking, if he was just a normal person. I don't know if it would have been better.
I think they made an error in judgment with the script. I think having him appear throughout the movie as a character was a bad decision, because really all he does is just stop the movie dead in its tracks. He's the Giuseppe Andrews, Officer Winston character in Cabin Fever, the guy who shows up and literally stops the movie dead in its tracks and wastes 5 minutes. He's basically, that's all he does in this movie. And I think what they should have done is they should have had him be a digital animated sprite character until the very end, and then have him emerge from the TV and have the special effects take over at that point. But having him throughout the movie, it gets old and you get bored of him just constantly showing up and acting stupid. So yeah, I think what they should have done is they should have just saved him for the end. That's what I would have done if I had made it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was all right. I didn't find anything too mind-blowing. I thought it was very derivative of many movies I've seen, like Tron and shit like that with virtual reality. And
yeah, it is definitely derivative. And like maybe like Last Starfighter a little bit as well, and which actually, not to go off on a tangent or anything, but I was reading a list of films that deserved sequels or whatever, and one of the top voted films was The Last Starfighter. And I was drinking a cup of coffee, and as soon as I saw that on the list, I spit my cup of coffee out. I was like, yeah, good luck getting a sequel to that one ever made. Anyway,
they also don't like those Jacob Ladder ending.
Yeah,
so bad.
When it like where you go through the experience of the film and then it turns out that it's not real. Yeah.
Fuck that.
I feel like it can work if done right. I know that, like, I'm not gonna say The Wizard of Oz, because that's like the classic example. But like, I do feel like that kind of idea can work really well in a movie like Stay, for example, which I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm not gonna spoil what happens, but it's a film where, without saying too much, the ending is actually not a twist ending. It seems like a twist, but then when you rewatch the film, you realize that the ending is actually consistent with the rest of the movie. I think if a film is well written enough and directed well enough and done in a specific kind of way, that kind of ending can work really well. For me, I mean, I didn't think it was really that well done with this movie, but I saw it coming, so I guess I didn't really mind. I wasn't super disappointed when it turned out that it was all a video game simulation, because I don't know. Honestly, I don't know really what other direction it could have gone in. And also, I found the main character likable enough that, like, when it turned out that his life wasn't a nightmare, I was actually sort of relieved. I still don't think it was really smart of him to like rush next door to the party. I think he could have maybe taken his time a little bit more with that, but whatever.
Yeah.
What would you give it on a scale of 1 to 5, you think?
Like a 1.5.
Yeah. Okay. It's pretty fair, I think. What about you?
I gave it a 3.5.
Okay. I think I would give it. I'll give it a 3. I think for now. I liked it more than Mind Warp.
I liked it more than Mind Warp.
Yeah, and
it was fun. I just hate those endings.
Yeah.
So I knocked it a couple chunks down just for the ending.
I think if you're the kind of person who hates the kind of ending where it turns out it was all a dream,
pisses me off.
You're definitely not gonna like this movie very much, because But I think I thought it was an enjoyable movie. Yeah. Okay, so next movie is Suburban Commando, right?
Suburban Commando.
Sorry, I should have let you say the title. I apologize.
Suburban Commando.
I was just so excited to say it. I'm just like, yeah.
Okay.
So, who is this starring? The great.
Hulk Hogan, baby.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is a movie starring Hulk Hogan. It's your typical like fish out of water movie.
Mm-hmm.
It starts off with him, Mr. Hulk Hogan, in space. I don't know. He's beating the shit out of some space guys and I don't know, doing some kind of mission.
Yeah.
Makes a bunch of shit explode.
Yeah. There's a villainous man.
Yeah, and I guess he gets in trouble for being too hot-headed or too whatever they call him. So he gets, sent on like a relaxing mission, like to cool down or whatever.
Yeah.
And he gets sent to Earth to recharge, I guess. I don't know what that means. I guess his ship was out of juice or something, or something. He had to recharge something.
Yeah.
But he also was told to, take a vacation, basically, down on Earth.
Yeah, they very, very briefly summarize it. They don't give you a whole lot of time to really figure out what's going on.
So yeah.
So you better be listening very carefully.
Right. So yeah, they send him down to Earth, and that's where the whole movie starts taking place.
Yeah.
It's basically following him, a space commando alien guy.
Hijinks ensue.
Yep. Getting used to Earth customs. It also has Shelley Duvall in it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the only movies I've seen her in besides The Shining.
Yeah.
And Christopher Lloyd also in it. Her husband.
Mm-hmm.
Hulk Hogan takes up residence in they made a garage into an apartment to rent out for some extra cash.
Mm-hmm.
So he starts renting out their apartment.
Yeah. Family, I guess, is coming upon some hard times, I suppose.
Yep.
They need the extra money. So
I like how it was just a apartment for rent with an arrow.
yeah. No address, no anything.
Yeah.
It's like in a random location, and there's just an arrow that says apartment for rent, and he goes in that direction, and somehow he winds up within the family unit of Christopher Lloyd and Shelley Duvall and company.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, I guess the dad was what was his job?
I think he was like an inventor or an architect or something.
Yeah, some kind of inventor.
But his boss, what's his Arthur David, whatever the actor's name is.
Larry Miller.
Yeah, Larry Miller.
Yeah, that guy.
Larry Miller, who this won't be the last time we see him.
No.
God damn it. So yeah, there was the typical. There was one of those him walking down the street.
Yeah.
Busting shit up, stealing people's clothes off their back.
Yeah, because he's Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, why not?
At one point, there's like a dog in a car. And
yeah. He like frees the dog out of the car and then shoves the owner inside the car with the muzzle on and takes his clothes.
Yeah. And meanwhile, the dog is eating the guy's meal.
Yeah. Like, okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, like, for some reason, I guess people are hunting him down. Bounty hunters.
There's some bounty hunters. Which
I'm not sure why. I don't know where they came from.
I'm kind of glad that they ended up being bounty hunters though, because like, in my opinion, there was that Dog the Bounty Hunter show, which had that ridiculous looking guy who, like, I mean, Hulk Hogan looks silly, but I thought that Dog the Bounty Hunter, it was one of the silliest looking men I've ever seen in my life. And he looked like somebody who belonged on WWE wrestling, in my opinion. And so, so when it turned out that Hulk Hogan in this movie was being hunted by bounty hunters, I was like, well, there you go. Like, he's in good company.
Which one of them was Undertaker?
Yeah. Yeah. Razor Ramon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess like his armor and guns and shit set off beacons.
Yeah, they're
homing beacons, for
homing
some
devices.
sort.
Yeah.
And like the dad, or whatever, Christopher Lloyd, like
Brings them right to Earth.
right, yeah, because he blows a hole in the wall of there, because he sees them hide a gun and shit. And...
Which, by the way, so how far? Okay, so all right, this didn't make any sense to me because they're in Earth, right? They're heavy on atmosphere, heavy on God only knows what, and yet the only thing that's preventing these aliens from reaching this beacon is a mattress that this weapon is hidden under. And he leaves it, and it's on when he puts it under the mattress, right?
Uh-huh.
It's definitely flashing. He puts it under the mattress, and the beacon goes away on the radar. So all it took was a mattress.
I thought he just turned it off. I don't know.
I it would have made sense, but he left it on. And I don't know why he left it on too, like because he's obviously a smart guy. The least he could do is have the courtesy to actually turn off other people's equipment that he's using without asking. But whatever. I guess he's not as smart as it makes sense because he didn't get a raise yet. So
yeah, must be a reason why.
Yeah. Although his boss is an idiot too. So I like the Japanese who were they? The businessmen that he kept on trying to impress.
Yeah.
And I thought that stuff was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and he's like going straight down the street attacking people too.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
He keeps running into the same mime.
Yeah, he's just fucking mime.
Yeah. Which, by the way, that mime, why was he in such an isolated location? He should have been more like in town. He was kind of like away from town. I don't know why.
No idea.
Yeah.
And wasn't it in like the middle of the night too?
Yeah.
One at a time, yeah.
The one time a day that nobody would even see a mime, or be out,
In that same time period, there's a arcade full of kids too in the middle of the night.
Oh
yeah.
That was my favorite scene.
I love that, yeah.
That was my favorite scene when I was a kid, and rewatching it now, that's still my favorite scene. Only because he's playing Afterburner, right? And but it's ridiculous. I love how cheesy video games are in the 90s. So he plays the game so hard that a white flag comes out of the side of the machine.
Yes.
And I'm just like, that's hilarious. Oh my god.
He was using his space aliens know-how.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good. I love that.
Yeah. This is by far my favorite part.
Yeah. And he fucking flips that car too.
Oh yeah.
And he saves those people or saves that kid or something.
Yeah. And
flips the car.
And it was funny how he did that immediately after getting into that tiff with those guys who said that they were gonna sue him if he put a scratch
on. 90s, we're gonna sue you.
Oh yeah, he's like, let me guess, he's like, do you have any idea what we're gonna do to you if you touch our car? And so he's like, you're gonna drag me across the street, you're gonna do all this stuff, and they're like, no, this is the 90s, we're gonna sue you.
Yeah.
And then immediately after that, he picks a fight with these kids and turns their car around, and it's like, I guess he forgot that he could get sued.
Yeah. There's that.
Yeah.
When he tried to fucking skateboard that first time, he just fucking just fucking fell on his ass.
Yeah.
And then chucked it across the fucking city.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. And it exited the atmosphere.
Oh
yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Eventually, there's some conflict.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah. Oh, well, there's also that one point where the little girl asks to save the cat.
Oh, yeah.
And he, pulls down the tree, and she's that's not my cat. And he lets go, and the fucking cat slings slingshots out of there.
That was funny. Actually, so I saw this movie a long, long time ago. And, the two parts I could remember from this movie were the part at the arcade and the part later on in the movie, or actually it happens at the end of the movie, because that girl shows up again, and he ends up flinging her in the air. For some reason, when I remembered that it being that she's like on a teeter-totter and he steps on it and she goes flying in the air, but turns out that wasn't what it was. It turns out she was like holding onto a tree branch and he lets it go flying and she goes flying in the air like as well, and so he has to go and catch her.
Oh,
You know,
that was some funny shit.
that was really funny, but I remembered that part. Like,
Well, that was good.
yeah. Skateboarding in this movie kind of sucked, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Like, none of it was very good. Hulk Hogan didn't do very well on the skateboard, and everybody else, mostly all they don't even do any tricks or anything, and they kind of go at slow speeds. So, I don't know, I kind of got the impression that the folks that were skateboarding were not the most confident types of skateboarders, which is okay, I suppose. But
Yeah, at the end, Hulk Hogan was pulling out some tricks, though.
oh, yeah. Yeah, you could barely see them, but yeah, he was.
Yeah, they're all like off camera.
Yeah,
They're just flipping around.
yeah, pretty much to disguise the fact that he wasn't actually doing the tricks.
And that board he got out of nowhere.
Yeah, that
That
was.
space board. It's like
Yeah.
6 wheels on it.
Where did that come from? That thing was dope.
Gave it to the kid.
Okay, so yeah, so the bounty hunters.
The bounty hunters eventually come, I guess. Yeah, because the dad put the suit on.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part. Yeah, he has a run-in with
Somebody.
a couple thugs who, I mean, it's a family movie, you know, and they're both attacking a woman, but really mostly all they're doing is flinging her back and forth between the two of them, which is, you know, which makes sense because if it were like RoboCop, you know, yeah. But in this movie, yeah, he has a run-in with these two thugs that are, you know, messing around with some lady, and he ends up kind of accidentally whooping them.
Yeah.
You know, not really on purpose. He's kind of just pushing buttons and stuff's happening.
I thought it was like on autopilot because it looked like he wasn't even doing anything.
Yeah. And he ends up doing one of those low kick, like not the Hadoukens, but the, you know, like when you in whatever that game is, when you jump up in the air and you do the downward kick, he does one of those accidentally and knocks them both out. And then he ends up leaving the freeze ray there, I guess. Was that what happened, or did the bounty hunters come with the freeze ray?
I don't know where that thing came from, or where it went, or how it got worse.
Yeah, I feel like maybe there was a part I wasn't paying attention to or something, but like at some point they were like trying to find it because he dropped it in the junkyard, but then it was in a different place, and it was like, okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts you want to share, Zach?
Not really. I mean,
had you seen this movie before?
Yeah, it's just as cheesy as I remember it being.
Yeah.
I actually think I got it confused with a different Hulk Hogan movie or something.
Which
I
one,
mean,
Mr.
they're all
Danny, perhaps.
maybe. I mean, they're all kind of the same plot.
Yeah. Yeah, fished out of water. Hulk Hogan, Hulkamaniac, you know, winding up in this random situation that he wasn't meant to be in, and somehow he ends up making it through despite being a big meathead who makes a lot of mistakes and gets confused by cereal boxes.
Oh, yeah. There are one-liners galore in this movie.
Yeah, constant one-liners.
Yeah.
The wrestling puns.
Oh yeah, what is this, a tag team?
Yeah.
I used to love wrestling when I was younger. You wouldn't think it knowing me now, but I at one point in life was a huge fan of wrestling back when it was called the WWF, you know. So after Owen Hart died, I kind of stopped watching just because like got kind of too real for me after that. But you know, I remember Hulk Hogan though. I remember all those guys, and yeah, and as far as acting ability goes, Hulk Hogan, I mean, I think he knows that he's a limited actor, so he pretty much stays within kind of his own sort of comfortable boundary. He Michael Jordan's it, basically. Like, you know how Michael Jordan was in Space Jam? where he kind of played it low key. And a lot of people are like, oh, he's a horrible actor. But in my opinion, it's like, obviously he's trying to play it low key, in a sarcastic way, to add to the humor. I think Hulk Hogan kind of is aiming for something sort of similar here too.
I thought he did fine.
Yeah, he's sarcastic. It's like, you're the one who brought them here. Like, just Ooh, actually, so Christopher Lloyd does end up getting frozen.
Oh yeah.
Which I appreciated. It was great. As soon as people were getting frozen, I was ready for Christopher Lloyd to be frozen. I was hoping it would happen. It did happen. And then it's like, oh, that means he's going to say I was frozen today. And then he did.
Yeah.
So that was satisfying, but that's always satisfying. Shelley Duvall had pretty much nothing to do.
Surprise.
Yeah. Pretty much nobody had anything to do except for Christopher Lloyd and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a secretary who carries a gun. She's a little too trigger happy, actually. Although at the end of the movie, she ends up skating off with Hulk Hogan, which I thought was kind of an interesting twist.
That was good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that bad guy, he transformed into a fish guy.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
What? I kind of missed how it happened. I just looked away for a second, and then I turned around, and he was like, his back was against the camera. He was turning into a fish guy. I was like, wait, what? How did this happen?
Well, Christopher Lloyd, wait, what did he do? I don't even remember what he did.
He put on the glove and grabbed his balls.
Oh. Yeah, okay.
And that turned him into a fish guy?
Yeah, if you squeeze the guy's balls, he turns into a giant fish monster.
Okay.
So that was something that, we didn't learn until the end of the movie, but I guess that's why it happened.
Oh, and those bounty hunters' voices. They had like squeaky high voices.
Yeah, they
sound
that's
like, why you don't talk.
Yeah, they say something and they sound like chipmunks or something, and yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah, lots of sight gags. I mean, it's a pretty typical kind of fish out of water story. It's pretty silly. It's pretty hard to take seriously on any level, really. It makes a pretty passable family film, I'd say. Probably really the only reason I would ever sit down and watch it again, to be honest, is if I were showing it to, like, if I had kids one day or something, maybe, like, if I were bored and I was like, hey, you want to watch a Hulk Hogan movie? Like, check out Suburban Commando. Like, that might be the only reason I rewatch it. But I don't know. I chuckled. It was silly. I liked it better than Throw Mama from the Train, or I mean, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. Sorry, I liked it more than that.
Yeah,
so.
I did too. Yeah.
This was a better fish out of water. Well, actually, I guess that wasn't really a fish out of water story, but it was a buddy cop movie. But I liked it more than that, though.
Yeah, so. This one definitely was funnier.
Yeah. What would you grade Hulk Hogan's acting on a scale of 1 to 5?
His acting?
Yeah.
I'd give it like a 2.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Possible.
Yeah, I'd say 2.5 is probably about what I'd give it as well. Yeah. And Hulk Hogan and the movie itself, I'd give a 2.5 too, probably about as well. Maybe a 2. I don't know. I mean,
I'd give the movie a 3.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I gave it a 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty much what you get, or what you're expecting is what you get, basically. It's called Suburban Commando. It's a novelty, I guess. Novelty picture. So worth watching if you're a Hulk Hogan fan, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
might be the only reason to watch it.
Yeah. I mean, there's some pretty funny ones. What was the one that he did that he was in that had like the when he was on the motorboat? But he was like, oh,
Thunder in Paradise.
I think that was it. Yeah. He's like obviously too big for the motorboat, but he's riding this like little motorboat, and it's like he's supposed to look so badass, but it looks so silly. Like
Yeah,
that one was pretty funny.
I have all of those movies.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. There's 3 of them somehow.
How did they? I didn't even know. I thought there was only one of them. Wow. Gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I rented those as a kid as well.
I remember renting Suburban Commando at least once, and I remember renting. I think it was the first Thunder in Paradise movie. Only because I didn't know about the sequels. I don't think back then. But I think I rented that at one point. I've never seen Mr. Nanny. I've just never really been interested. I don't know why.
I mean, you've basically seen the plot with Suburban Commando.
Yeah, I figure.
Except in that one, he's a nanny.
Yeah, that sounds. Yeah, I think I saw the trailer for Mr. Nanny, and so like, when I saw the trailer, I think I remember even thinking, "Wow, that looks a lot like Suburban Commando," you know. So, but anyway, so moving on. Last but well, maybe least, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is your choice, which was
Chairman of the Board,
hmm,
starring Carrot Top.
yes, Carrot Top.
Which I realized last night is the 3rd surfing related movie that I've chosen.
Yeah, there's so many skateboarding movies and so many surfboard movies, like in the 90s and in the 80s.
Also, don't buy the DVD of Chairman of the Board. It's a terrible transfer and it's full screen.
Well,
So I ended up just watching it on Prime.
yeah, good idea. That's how I watched it. So,
Yeah.
because I suppose I could have gone out and bought the DVD, but I don't know. I don't think it would have been worth it for this movie.
No, it wasn't. It was a waste of $8.
Yeah. So yeah. So you want to try to describe the plot?
Sure.
I suppose it is another fish out of water story. Before, like as a preface.
Yeah. So if you know Carrot Top, he's got his prop shtick.
Mm-hmm.
So they basically took that and put a generic 90s plot to it.
Mm. Yeah.
Carrot Top is an inventor, which all of his dumb props are his inventions.
Yeah. And none of his inventions are interesting or useful at all. I mean,
No, except for that glow gunk, which is like an actual product now.
oh yeah. That's funny. Okay.
Let's see. His car breaks down randomly.
Yeah.
Or no, he drives past someone's car broken down, and it happens to be the owner of this. I don't know what kind of company it was.
I guess it was another invention company.
Yeah.
It's like that's or well, the only reason I'm guessing that is because throughout, like once he actually got into the company, they were like, oh, what should we invent next? And so it's like, okay, well, I guess they've invented stuff before then. So
Yeah,
I'm
like
guessing that it's an
sticky notes apparently.
Yeah, which, I mean, that's not really much of an invention, but like that's hard to kind of hang a plot on. But
Yeah.
somehow they managed to force a plot onto it. So
Yeah, so he runs into that guy,
yeah,
fixes his car, and then goes surfing with the dude.
the surfing scenes, by the way, were terrible.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah,
Really poorly shot.
so dumb.
The low angles,
It
you
was,
could tell
it was
they weren't real.
Yeah, it was clearly a dude in like a old man like wig.
Yeah. It looked really awful. And yeah, Carrot Top. And okay, I gotta say, like, because I was rewatching some Carrot Top videos like before I watched this movie, kind of to prepare myself a little bit, like just to kind of emotionally prepare myself. And he's actually not that horrible. I know that he's considered like a really bad comedian and stuff, but I actually think he's got like a pretty decent sense of like comedic timing. And like, even though it's prop humor, which is pretty cheap humor and pretty like low common denominator type of humor, he does put a decent amount of thought into like his humor and his jokes and stuff, but he doesn't really get an opportunity in this movie to actually do that. Like,
yeah. And isn't his...
I've seen some of his stand-up. It's pretty good.
Yeah. It's
what he does. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, he's actually kind of a funny guy, strangely enough.
And isn't his stand-up like more adult-oriented? And this movie is directed towards kids.
Yeah. Definitely. I think he works better sort of in his sort of natural I think he's funny when you just kind of let him be funny. He also did an audio commentary track on the DVD for the movie The Rules of Attraction, which it's a really weird DVD because the special features, it's pretty much just like nothing but commentary tracks. There's like 6 or 7 commentary tracks on the DVD for some reason. And one of the commentary tracks is listed commentary by special guest. And when you click on it and watch the movie, it turns out that the special guest is Carrot Top, and he's never seen the movie before, so he's like narrating over it and talking over it, and it's actually pretty funny. It's actually pretty good commentary. So Carrot Top's actually not too bad as a comedian. But I kind of felt like this movie didn't really give him much of a chance to actually showcase his like what makes him funny, So.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that? There was one joke right in the beginning too that made me chuckle. He was a condom tester.
Oh, that was pretty funny. Yeah, that made me laugh.
He was just like, "Hi, Daddy."
Yeah, like because the boss's daughter was in the room with him.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
And that was like, I mean, it was.
Yeah,
it was,
she came up out of like behind the
under
desk or
the
whatever.
Counter. And he's like, "These condoms work great," or whatever. I mean, it was kind of a vulgar joke, but I'll give it credit. Credit where credit's due.
The only chuckles I think I had in the whole movie.
I mean, I actually got to say that I didn't dislike this movie as much as I thought I was going to. I thought it was going to be like really, really painfully bad, and there were a lot of painful parts in it. Don't get me wrong, but there actually were like more than a handful of parts that I thought were pretty funny, like the part where Arthur David is he's going to his car. Oh yeah, that's another thing. He shows up so he was in Suburban Commando as the guy's boss.
Oh,
and then he shows up in not Arthur David. Larry Miller. Sorry. I don't know why I keep calling him Arthur David. Larry Miller. He shows up as the antagonist in this movie.
Yeah.
The exact same character, basically.
Yeah. I got so fucking because I watched it back to back. I watched this and then Suburban Commando back to back.
Yeah.
And I had a double take for a minute. I was like, wait, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Because he was in like the same exact outfit too, and he's playing the same exact character. I was like, wait, am I tripping right now? Did I go back in time? I'm watching the same movie again.
Like, wait, I already watched this movie.
What is happening?
Yeah. And he's even creepier in this movie. At one point it was either Raquel Welch or Courtney Thorne-Smith. He's like hugging her and he's like sniffing her hair and going like, he's basically he makes himself out to be just the creepiest creep of a villain possible. And his goal in life basically at this point is to inherit the company, so you're saying the guy gives the company to Carrot Top's character basically after he passes away.
Yeah, he dies the next day after they go surfing or something.
Yeah.
Doesn't really say how much time has passed since then, but
it's anybody's guess essentially. And so he passes away. So Larry Miller is like, sweet, now I'm gonna get the company. Oh my god, I can't wait. And then they show up for the will reading, and it's this videotape, and the guy announces, "Oh, I'm giving it to whatever Carrot Top's name in the movie is."
Edison.
Yeah.
Which it's like, oh man,
Stupid. Oh, I wrote on my notes. Not even funny.
yeah,
Like, Edison. God damn it.
yeah, that.
And his birth scene too. I was just like, God damn it.
Oh
Came
yeah,
out with a full head of fucking hair.
Yeah.
That's how you open that movie.
yeah. This movie wastes no time
Right.
in letting you know what kind of
He had
quality it's
fucking
aiming
gadgets
for.
in the womb.
Yeah. He's in the birth. He's in the womb, and he's looking around, and on the wall is like a picture of his dad, which is literally just a picture of sperm
Oh,
with
Jesus.
with Carrot Top's face superimposed on the front of it. And then he gives birth, and of course he's got a full head of hair after he comes out. And it's like a cartoon. It's stupid. It's so ridiculous. It's not as bad as the opening scene of It's Pat, the opening birthing scene of It's Pat the movie. It's not quite as bad as that, but it's getting pretty damn
It was
close
fucking
as
dumb.
far as bad opening birth scenes
I don't know
go.
if I haven't seen
man.
that. I don't know if
Yeah, I didn't really like the one in I think it was Big Fish. I don't know. That was weird. But anyway, but getting back to the plot, so they're watching the videotape, and he gives the company to Edison, and then there's the great gag where he's like surfing away on the that actually made me laugh when he's on the surfboard and he floats into the sky like on the videotape. Like that was the stupidest looking effect, and
Yeah.
and the way he like he was like whoa, like it was so dumb, but I laughed really
I
hard
missed
at that.
part, damn.
Yeah. And then the other part I laughed at was when Larry Miller, he goes to his, because there's this running gag of his car constantly getting wrecked, which it's funny the first time, but it kind of stops being funny the second and third time, like when it keeps happening again and again. But the first time it's funny because he comes out and the front of it's busted, and he freaks out and he's like, "Ah!" and he crushes the cell phone, and he's like, "I'll call you later." That made me laugh. I must
Yeah.
yeah, that was
Larry
good.
Miller gets the surfboard.
Yeah.
I thought there was going to be something special about it.
Yeah, like it would be worth like millions.
Yeah.
That would have been funny. Yeah.
I liked how he's like, "You want to trade?" And Carrot Top's like, "Yeah."
Right.
Oh, nice surfboard. Yeah. Also Carrot Top. There's a lot going on in this movie actually. Carrot Top has a couple roommates and a deranged landlady.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a scary woman that was. What was her deal?
She was messed up, yeah.
Yeah. She was like this, like, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe her, but
She had that
Yeah.
voice box thingy.
oh yeah, that was interesting. I forgot about that. But she was really villainous. Like they kind of were using the voice box thing almost like a Darth Vader type of thing.
Yeah. That was like a thing in the 90s, having a character with one of those.
Yeah. I wonder why that was a thing. And why was there always villains too? Like what do they have
Yeah.
against people with voice boxes, you know? I think the funniest example of that was in the movie Freeway with Kiefer Sutherland. But I'm not going to talk about that movie. Anyway, so he's got these roommates, and even though he's inherited this company and is in charge of it, and obviously he's probably going to be getting salary pay, he doesn't really get any pay for the first couple of weeks. So they still are behind on their rent, even though he's in charge of this multi-million-dollar company. And he invents his invention. So do you want to talk about his invention that ends up getting the attention of the public, basically?
Was it the TV dinner
Yeah.
that had an actual TV in it?
Yeah. It's like a dinner that you open up and it has food and then there's a TV screen.
With like one episode of a TV show or something like that.
It looked like a really boring TV show.
And it
too.
microwaved
Yeah.
itself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Some really cheesy names like mashed potatoes.
yeah.
The show MASH on.
yeah, that was and also in the midst of all this, the film also manages to find a way to wedge a love story in there too, with what's her name, Natalie. You see, because she's played by Courtney Bella Thorne, or Thorne Bella, whatever her name is, or Thorne Smith. I forget what her name is, but Courtney something. The reason I say I know that her name is Courtney is because at one point Carrot Top accidentally calls her by her first name, Courtney, rather than Natalie. At one point in the movie, did either of you catch that?
No.
Yeah, it happens. So when they're in the museum or whatever, and they're like looking at pictures or something. He's like, "Oh, check out this painting, Courtney." Like, I'm surprised nobody in the editing room caught that, but oh well.
Oh, something else that nobody caught is you can see Carrot Top's dick in the first few minutes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they pull a Wild Wild West. Where in Wild Wild West, in a really quick shot, you could see Will Smith's appendage. In this movie, yeah,
when he comes out of the shower with the duck, his dick's right there.
It's like literally right out in the open. There's like they didn't cover it up or anything. And maybe on the full screen version, the quality is bad enough that you can miss it. But on high def prime, yeah, no, not quite.
It's right there.
Yeah. Oh, and then also Raquel Welch shows up in this movie as well, and does absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Like absolutely nothing. Was she even part of the plot? Like,
she was the reason Larry Miller's character wanted to take over so he could sell the company to her.
Okay.
Yeah. For some reason.
Huh. All right. Well, yeah, she pretty much. I don't know why they cast her of all people. Like, because it was such a nothing role. Like, I don't know. It's kind of weird to cast like a actual like well-known, like well-established, like classical actor in a movie where they literally do like nothing. I don't know. It's just kind of a waste of an acting credit. I guess they had the budget to do it, but it's kind of a shame. So there ends up being a conspiracy against Carrot Top's character, right?
Yeah, the TV dinners were said to cause some radiation or some shit.
Yeah, which turned out was not actual radiation, but that Larry Miller, he stole Carrot Top's glow in the dark goop and then like wiped it on somebody and turned the lights off and which to me it's like it was very obvious that was like and like when I was watching the movie, I thought that it like what was gonna happen is they were gonna see it on TV and people were gonna be like, uh-oh, are they trying to frame you? But instead, they all kind of turn against him spontaneously. So I guess that ends up meaning that Carrot Top is the most intelligent character in the whole movie. He's kind of the idiot savant, obviously a clueless, out of touch, crazy loony of a person.
One of my notes was just fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Just fucking idiot.
And yet every decision he makes ends up working out for the best. He's an idiot savant. Kind of like the kid from Rare Exports who continuously makes stupid decisions that ends up working out, or the characters in the movie Splinter about the killer moth in the bathroom, the characters who keep making ridiculous decisions that end up working out too. I mean, it's another one of those movies, I guess, where the characters make bad decisions, but they turn out to be smart decisions. So. And Carrot Top, yeah, he's the genius, I guess. So.
Yeah.
I thought it was a better movie than Young Einstein, the Yahoo Serious movie.
I don't think I saw that one.
Don't. It's better than that, in my opinion, only because there's not really as much to it, and it's not as lowbrow, Also, it didn't traumatize me as much because, like, I remember when I saw Young Einstein, there was some gag about some crazy guy in an insane asylum who wants to bake kitties in a pie, and that idea freaked me out so much that I hated it. And So there's nothing in this movie that goes that far. But I gotta say though, everything in this film is literally a calamity. I mean, it's very loud and goofy, and there's a lot of wacky sound effects. Doesn't quite go as far as the Inspector Gadget movie, but it comes close. It's very loud, very colorful, very cartoonish. I mean, Carrot Top is pretty much a living cartoon.
God damn. I wrote my first note. I was like, Carrot Top looks funny.
Yeah. And
he just looks funny.
He does. He doesn't have a whole lot of screen presence. Like I mentioned before, he's not really given much to work with.
It was all just basically bits of his fucking PG props.
Yeah.
The ones that he wouldn't take on into Vegas.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, definitely kind of a very anarchy-filled type of vision, I'd say. If you can call it a vision. I mean, I don't know if you could really call anything that stars Carrot Top a real vision, but the novelty's there.
Yeah.
I guess he was owed his own movie.
Yeah.
He got it.
Did you see that interview? It was when the movie came out. It was on Conan
Oh, was it?
with the chick. I don't know if it was Raquel Welch or not.
Was it Courtney Bella Thorne or Thorne?
It was one of the
Smith, whatever?
female actresses.
Okay.
And she was like, she was talking to Conan. She's like, oh yeah, I was in chairman of the board.
Huh.
And then Norm Macdonald was the first
Uh-oh. guest,
and he was right next to him. And he was like, did they spell that B-O-R-E-D?
Yeah.
Like instantly, like without missing a beat.
As soon as he said Norm Macdonald, I knew it was gonna be something silly. Like, I bet he probably tears that movie to shreds right there,
Yeah.
knowing him. I'll have to watch that. That sounds really funny.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 2 out of 5, I think, because I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would. It's better than a lot of crappy novelty celebrity starring movies, people that didn't really need to have their own movie. It's better than some of them, I will say. And also the movie, I don't know how short it was, but it felt short enough that it was, for me anyway, not super painful. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, there were some parts that made me laugh. I wouldn't say it was a good movie. It was probably about as good as a movie starring Carrot Top could possibly be. Although it could have been better if it had just been his stand-up. I think if it were a movie that was just his stand-up, then I'd probably give it maybe a 3 out of 5. But no, instead it decides to have a plot, and I don't know, not horrible, I guess, but not great.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd give it a 2.5 out of 3. I thought it was pretty funny at points, just because Carrot Top looks funny mostly.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
Yeah.
He was goofy. And I would recommend it to anyone that's, I don't know, wants to get super stoned and watch it.
Yeah. Probably a better movie if you're in a different state of mind, I would imagine. Yeah.
You want to watch a silly, dumb Carrot Top movie? Turn your brain off.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Chairman of the board.
Yeah.
But don't watch the DVD, I guess.
No, it was bad.
Yeah.
I saw it free somewhere.
Yeah.
And I gave it a 1.5.
Yeah.
It was like worse than I remember.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
I just thought what little plot there was, that it was like a generic plot. Like someone gets inherited something, someone tries to get it from them. That seemed like a common 90s plot.
Yeah. Pauly Shore movies kind of are sort of along those lines, I feel like.
Yeah, and like one of the Chris Farley movies has the same plot or something, right?
Was it Tommy Boy or Tommy Boy or Black Sheep? One of those ones.
Yeah, I always get the two confused.
Yeah, I think it was Black Sheep. Yeah.
Inherits the company. Yeah.
Yeah.
Billy Madison, kinda.
Yeah, Billy Madison
Yep.
and Happy Gilmore, with Shooter McGavin wanting to dominate the tournament. Actually, Shooter McGavin's probably one of my favorite all-time Adam Sandler villains. Um, but I gotta say, I do find Larry Miller's overall like stupid persona to be like adequate for this kind of movie.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to embarrass himself. I mean, he's been in some pretty lowbrow. He was in that Max Keeble movie, for Christ's sake. I mean,
basically the same character.
Yeah, basically playing the same character. Just evil, generic villain who you hate everything about. He loves playing that kind of guy, I guess.
Evil businessman.
Yeah. I'd say if you like Larry Miller's shtick, this'll be a passable picture for you, I think. If you like Raquel Welch, I wouldn't recommend it because you only get about 2 minutes total of Raquel Welch being in the movie. Yeah. So, but yeah, chairman of the board. No, I wasn't that bored with it personally.
It was funny.
Yeah.
Or fun, at least.
Yeah. I'm glad that I finally saw the Carrot Top movie.
Yeah. Mark that off my list.
Yeah. I'll probably watch it maybe one more time in my life in the next 50 to 60 years.
Yeah.
Perhaps if I reach the age where I've already lived a long life, I'm not afraid to do hard drugs when I'm in my 60s, 65, 70. I'll be like the grandfather in Little Miss Sunshine, you're crazy not to try it. I'll be that kind of old guy, and then I'll do a lot of drugs, and I will watch Chairman of the Board and enjoy myself. Yeah. If the planet's still alive by then. Who knows? Yeah. Anyway, so, all right, cool. So, you guys want to choose next week's or next episodes?
Yeah.
Either you have choices?
I have a couple different options. Let's go with Body Melt.
Body Melt. I love the title. That sounds epic. Body Melt. All right.
Yeah. It's a body horror.
Okay.
Vinegar Syndrome put it out.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah.
That sounds almost like the movie Spontaneous Combustion, which is a terrible movie. I mean, I love it, but it's absolutely atrocious. But Spontaneous Combustion, that the title does not lie about what that movie's about. But okay, Body Melt. Sounds good. Do you have a choice?
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna choose Class of 1999.
Oh, cool. Okay. That one I have seen, but it's been a while, and I actually would like to watch that one again. So, Class of 1999. Believe it or not, is a sequel, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Although I will say it's unrelated to the original. The original is called Class of 1984, and it's definitely not for everybody. It's a pretty trashy, like old school kind of 80s like splatter gang dark comedy rape revenge picture. I know that sounds like a weird combination of stuff.
Yeah.
It's also kind of a science fiction film too.
I think I'm thinking of that one
Yeah. Class of 1984. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a classic, but Class of 1999 is a sequel to it, but it has nothing to do with the original. So I'm eager to rewatch it. My choice, I was going to go with Arcade, but I don't think I want to watch another video game movie yet. I think I want to take a break from a whole virtual reality thing for now. And I'm gonna just go with Ice Cream Man.
Ooh, I almost chose that one too.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. It's got Clint Howard. So you may as well keep up with the Clint Howard.
His third appearance on this podcast.
Yeah, appearance number 3 from Mr. Howard. It's a movie I haven't actually seen, although for some reason I thought that I had, but then I looked it up and I'm like, what the hell? I've never seen that. And yeah, Ice Cream Man. It's a horror movie apparently. So
nice. My other choice was going to be Hardware, or Richard Stanley.
Oh yeah.
Movie.
Hardware.
Since probably watch it anyways because I just watched Color Out of Space. So
We could, yeah. Well, I mean, next time maybe we could do Hardware. Who knows? It's up
Yeah.
to you. I actually really like Hardware quite a bit. So, although it's been a long time since I've seen it, but yeah, the other one I was thinking besides Arcade was Tales from the Hood, but I'll wait on that one. I think so.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, I love it. I rented that one I think like 4 or 5 times way back in the day. So, and yeah, I don't know why I love that one so much because I don't really remember it like at all. I know I've seen it several times, but I don't remember it. So, but I'm gonna go with Ice Cream Man for the next time. So,
All right.
cool. So yeah. So until next time, peace, love, and happiness, and stay warm.
Yeah. Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot. Have a good night.